2020, right? Amory, it was March of 2020. We realized that people are going to be using their phones and their computers as a lifeline for information to not only learn about divorce, but what happens when life literally throws a
Uh-oh. We lost you, Carolina.
curve.
We don't hear
When we
you.
launched divorce, can you hear me?
Okay, now we
I'm
can hear
back.
you.
Okay.
Yes. You
So guys, this is live. So everything that could happen happens. That was a client calling in who needs to talk, but she'll wait. But at the time that we launched the show, when we realized that the world was going to be a very scary place for so many people going through transition, Ferlie, a life transitional coach, 5 times best-selling author, and a woman that is a voice of information in the insurance world, where she promotes life benefits for people, living benefits for people, came to me and said, we need to make sure that we address prevention when something goes wrong. You can't wait for the other shoe to drop to start planning for your future. If you're not prepared, that moment when life throws a curveball is going to be insurmountable for you to deal with. And Ferlie and I led the show for the entire year. We had a lot of exciting guests on, people that shared their story about different walks of life. But today, as we transition into a new season, and as Anne Marie joins me as my co host, we have a very special show for you, because Ferlie, the woman that helps so many go through transition and deal with life unfolding, is now facing the next challenge in her life. And although I've known about this for some time and kept it extremely confidential, Ferlie is sharing her story with us today that I believe is going to touch so many out there. So, Ferlie, welcome to the show. And thank you for being so brave in your life. You've worn so many hats already and have always come out shining. I believe that what you're going to share with our audience today is only going to make you stronger. So, if we could give you the floor for a few minutes, Ferlie, welcome.
Oh well, thank you very much. Oh my goodness. I have to hold back my tears as you introduced me, because yes, we are givers, and we like to empower other people. We'd like to be able to help them, as the divorce dynasty says, right? Like, you plan, you protect, you partner, and then you prosper through adversities in life, right? But oftentimes you're empowering others, but you forget that you are also vulnerable to the very same challenges that they face. um in my life, I've gone through many catastrophes. As a matter of fact, 18 years ago, I was a respiratory therapist. I was exposed to an occupational hazard. I was left with a 40% permanent lung damage, and so I was disabled for over 10 years. Catastrophic, really. It was very, very humbling. And also, I've been through a very nasty divorce myself, and it, you know and to this day, as a matter of fact, I still have a restraining order against that ex-husband of mine. And also, when I found love again, I actually lost my spouse to pancreatic cancer within 8 months of our wedding day. So it's been, as you can very well see, those different episodes in our lives actually test our resilience. And I thought all the while, okay, I've had all of these stories to share with people, so I can best prepare them for those challenges that they're going to be facing. Little did I know that, more recently, that I would be faced with another one that I never thought I would be subjected to. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Um, Again, it was a shock and a wake up call, and you don't think that it's going to ever hit your home. And there's a good part and a bad part for it, because yes, it was caught early. However, it is the aggressive kind. It's the rapidly growing kind. And so, okay, you have no time to waste, right? The good part about that is there are different things about medicine that could help prevent that from growing and also from recurring. But you have to go through the process of chemo, a year of immunotherapy, and then that could mean lost income. That could mean very catastrophic to people who may have homes, because many people could lose their homes because of a catastrophic illness like this. And also, it tests many relationships, because some people are able to deal with challenges like this beautifully and lovingly, but there are some who get scared and actually will bail out. I've been very lucky that I have a very, very loving spouse who actually have been very, very supportive. But not everyone is, right? And so that is where it's very important for people like you know, Carolina and Anne Marie, to be able to help people because you yourselves have gone through divorces. And I do not pray that you go through any illness at all, but then again, you are faced with so many clients who are going through what I'm going through right now. And they're scared. They're not sure of what to do. As they're going through their divorce, their disabilities, and even we all die, but sometimes death. They have to learn how to best prepare and protect themselves.
Mhm.
And during the time that I was disabled from my occupational hazard exposure, I did not have living benefits. So I had a term life insurance, but it has no savings built into it, and it has no living benefits. In case you do not know what living benefits mean, it is the kind of insurance that you don't have to die to use. So that when faced with cancer, stroke, heart attack, or any other disabling diseases, and you don't die, and when you need money the most, this is where you can best prepare and protect yourselves from losing your home or going into bankruptcy. And so, what is the difference between my life then and my life now? Back then, I did not have living benefits. And so, when I stopped working, I had no income coming. I have to really like talk about this without really breaking down because this is real. I hope you will find your story in what I'm sharing with you because it could be you or somebody you know. I was disabled. I had no income coming. How do you think that would affect somebody's finances? Of course, you have no other choice. Okay? Oftentimes, you have to go into bankruptcy, and oftentimes, you have to go into foreclosure. It's very humbling. And to a lot of people, it's very shameful, right? Because you feel that you're going to be defined by your adversities. But not me. All right? I rose above it with grace and courage and resilience because I know that we are not defined by our adversities. So I actually literally turned my mess into my message by writing books, providing talks, also being able to coach people on resilience, and more importantly now, providing life insurance with living benefits. But I did not realize that I will be the one using it now. So what's the difference between then and now? Before, I did not have any resource. So now there was a part of me when I was diagnosed that I said, like, okay, we don't have to be so afraid about the finances because now I could put a claim for living benefits when I need it most. So that means I already started to file a claim for living benefits. You will get accelerated benefits. You're going to get cash tax free for things that you may be needing. There will be medical bills that are not covered by health insurance. Your medical insurance will certainly not pay for your mortgage, your rent, your car payments, your children's education, your food, or your utilities. This is where living benefits come into play because now you don't have to worry about that because you have access to cash, as I've said, tax free when you need it the most. Because when you're home, you may need care, and that usually comes out of pocket.
Yeah.
Where are you
Ferlie, if
going?
I could just chime in for a second, everything you're saying is resonating with me as being even so much more important for women that are on the verge of divorce, going through divorce, or divorced. Because while you are fortunate to have a loving spouse at home and maybe a second income coming in, a lot of our clients are faced with now going solo. And when you are going solo, you have to make sure that you are preparing all the more for life throwing a curveball. All of us at some point in our lives, or most of us, I would say, are going to be faced with something going wrong. And if you don't prepare for that moment, similar to yourself, when that moment comes, you're potentially your whole life is going to go down the drain. So this season with Anne Marie and the great footprint, Ferlie, that you left, we want to continue talking to everybody out there about all the things that may go wrong. We are not here to give you bad news. We are not doom and gloom. We are actually the opposite. We want you to think about your life, think about what can go wrong for you, your spouse, and your children, and have everybody on speed dial lined up when that moment happens. And through our practice, Amory and I unfortunately see people coming in when that bomb goes off. And oftentimes, when you're dealing with that bomb and the noise and the letdown and the betrayal and life changing upside down, you're not equipped to think about how to clean that up. So, Anne-Marie, from the very core of where we started this, dealing with what Ferlie mentioned as well, too, the domestic violence. You know, when your life takes a curveball, you're dealing with divorce or an illness, when you throw in the concept of domestic violence, whether it be physical or psychological, wouldn't you agree that those clients are even more in need of our help because they're dealing with additional steps to climb out of that dark space? So, to Furley's point, a woman that has a full time, a final restraining order on her ex-husband, now dealing with cancer, dealing with paying bills, dealing with keeping her career going. Where does women even begin? Anne Marie, can you comment on that through your work through the Family Justice Center?
Absolutely. In fact, I have a couple of questions for Furley with respect to that exact topic. And that is that one of the number one ways of dealing with domestic violence nowadays is the financial abuse and control. And that is something that the legal system does not necessarily recognize as part of domestic violence under the legal umbrella of domestic violence. However, in the therapeutic community and in the domestic violence community, it's one of the number one ways to be able to first identify it, because physical abuse usually comes last. Usually with domestic violence, it's been the financial control, it's been the isolating of the individual, the person who we will call the victim or survivor, isolating them from people that they care about, that they had individual relationships with, so that a soul dependency gets created upon the abuser and or their family as well. Um, but what I find in my work through the Family Justice Center, or even as a former Superior Court judge, my biggest question to Ferlie is that given the various economic status of these types of, we'll say women, but we also know that there are men out there. When you have endured that type of financial power and control being held over you, where do you start? I mean, a lot of the people that come in, filing for divorce or dealing with domestic violence, I also am building a practice in trusts and estates with respect to setting up trusts for children after their divorce and or, writing wills and making sure that there is, a plan for God forbid something like this happens that does not involve the ex-spouse. Because if you die without that documentation, your ex-spouse could, under the state of New Jersey, come back in for it. So even further preparing our clients post-divorce for something like this happening early. And I'm so, so sorry to hear this. And I know that you have the resiliency to go through it, but I will remind you that you have a wonderful team behind you.
I know, I know. That's why I love the divorce dynasty because, like i- Carolina immediately said, we need to put it out there so people can learn from it. We can empower so many people with this information. That's a great question, Anne Marie. And unfortunately, I learned the hard way. Basically from my past experience, I did not prepare enough. Sometimes when you're young,
Mhm.
you think you're invincible, right? Like you think that nothing could ever touch you, that you'll never ever get sick and all that. So like you're very complacent when it comes to preparing and protecting yourself. So now obviously, because I've learned the hard way, I said, oh my gosh, not again. I am going to change the trajectory of my future because like, and that's why I became very passionate about empowering others, because people like me who would go through what I'm going through right now need to know that you can learn, you can partner with the right people, partner with, say for example, like divorce lawyers, family lawyers, prepare for it. Like do you have a living will, do you have an estate planning, all of these things. Don't wait. What happens is that, like, say for example, and by the way, death happens at any time, right? And now your family is scrambling to find out what they need to do, and now everybody is starting to fight. And like that is added stress to already a very sad situation. So when we partner with people like you ladies, and, and including myself, to best prepare for catastrophic life transitions, it would change the way you feel. You would actually, the right word for that is that you would achieve a sense of peace,
Mm.
a sense of peace of mind. And also, like me, for example, like I feel like resilience became my superpower, because now I know that on speed dial I could call Carolina or Anne Marie and say, listen, I'm going through this right now, what should I do? And you don't have to feel alone anymore. Or for those people who may be going through domestic violence, or people who may be going through, pending divorce. This pandemic has awakened in so many of us different things. Like, you realize that your relationships will be put to a test. You will realize who are going to stay there with you. I even had an ex partner who, many years ago, I actually had some lumps in my, or cyst. And then, it was suspicious, but it turned out benign. But guess what? That partner, the first thing that she did, said, I have to leave and go back to her country, because what if that happens to her? I said, like, I am the one who needs somebody right now. But in the meantime, she basically, said, like, okay, I'm going to take the escape. She decided to escape from
Yeah.
the
From
responsibility.
potential what may happen. Furley, what we see in our practice, and these are the saddest examples of divorce knocking on somebody's door, where you become ill and your spouse, of whether it's 5 years or 20 years, literally says, I'm not dealing with this. I don't want this. The marriage maybe was already on the rocks. And
Mhm.
you then are left alone at a moment where you are literally holding on, by your fingernails to your life. On top of that, you now have to figure out your finances, and you're afraid that you may not be able to afford anything. And that mindset really, I believe, is going to only harm you in your recovery and any strength you may have to combat, whether it's cancer or something else. But something comes to mind, Ferlie, when you're talking, and this is a question we get from a lot of our clients. How much will this cost? How much
Right.
will it cost for me to have this, this amazing insurance? Of course, I want to have this insurance. Of course, I want to not be a burden to my children now that I'm a single mom. Um, is it overwhelmingly expensive, Furley, or is there something for everyone?
You will be very, very surprised that there are so many different options. Okay, first of all, don't wait until you're old and sick to get this, because you will not be insurable, right? The best time to get life insurance is when you're young and healthy. Okay,
Mhm.
because it would be so ridiculously affordable. And there are different kinds. There's the term, which is like, usually it is for a period of time, 10, 20, 30 years. It's very, very affordable. And by the way, if you partner with the right companies such as ours, even your term life insurance would have living benefits. Now,
Oh,
and so what affects the price? Okay, if you're male or female. Oh, by the way, we also insure transgendered individuals, right? And also, and also your age, your state of health, what your goals are. Because somebody who has a home needs to protect more, or like people with children. Actually, we use what we call the macho, like basically, married, what age, and then do you have children, are you a homeowner, and like O is occupation, how much replacement income are you going to be needing. So all of this, we custom design a policy that would best protect you and your loved ones. So the cool part about it is that obviously you get the benefits when you are alive, not when you are gone. And so, like what I would invite anyone who may be listening here is that, first of all, if you already have a life insurance policy, ask your agent, how much money can I get if I get cancer, stroke, heart attack, and do not die? If the answer is zero, we need to talk. because you are missing out on a lot of money that you need very, very much during your most challenging time. I invite the viewers here, you know, I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm doing this as a way to educate and empower you. Let's take a look at how much money you will be able to access to in case something like what I'm going through happens to you. But don't wait till something happens, because by that time it is too late.
I
Yeah.
think that I just want to chime in here also just to thank you for this information, because I know that as a mother, and I see so many women specifically, and this is not necessarily gender neutral on this one, is that I see so many women, you know, traditionally and historically, they're not usually the ones privy to or invested in financial planning for the family. So when the family falls apart, it's the first time, they need to worry about rent, mortgage, groceries, and really budget all of that out. And this type of planning is really the last thing on their mind. But I want to tell the viewers it should be one of the first things on your mind, because God forbid, and this was something that, I think a lot of single parents during COVID hit, was that, if something happens to me, the household is down.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
if I lose my job, there is no income. So how
Exactly.
else am I going to, make ends meet? And, not everybody has family. Not everybody has, friends. Not everybody has access to people who are willing to share. So what are other ways other than getting a W-2 or a 1099? And for somebody who's watching that, that means a paycheck in some form, and you pay taxes on that paycheck in some form. Where else can you secure income, God forbid? And so I just want to encourage all of the viewers today to really reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with Ferlie. We'll help you, educate you, because at the end of the day, I am not one who believes that money will bring happiness, but I do believe that money does provide the security for you to look within for your own happiness.
You know what I always say? It is easier to be resilient when you have money,
Mhm.
because because people are getting very, very stressed. And even if you have money set aside, for example, even if you have a couple 100,000, say for example savings, do you want to deplete your savings? This is
Exactly,
going to be,
exactly. So this season is going to really focus on Furley, everything you're saying, Anne Marie, everything you're touching upon. It's preparing our clients to become our clients. And after they are clients, giving them the roadmap to sustain their independence, grow and prosper with all the individuals they need. Unfortunately, Anne Marie and I are the people that get the call when something goes wrong. But through the D word and through Divorce Dynasty and through professionals like Furley, we want to be the people that help educate you. So either you don't have to make that phone call, or when you make the phone call, you are already better prepared to deal with whatever is happening in your life at that moment. So, ladies, this has been an incredible show.
I just
We are
wanted to
going,
share something, Carolina,
yes,
before
please,
we.
yes,
Okay, first of all, the whole reason why we created the D word through the Divorce Dynasty is the D word is for divorce, disability, death, despair, and we are going to lead you to dazzling destinies. Remember also, living benefits is a perfect vehicle for supplemental income, tax free retirement strategy. So, this team, the Divorce Dynasty, I am deeply grateful for, because you empower not just women, but the whole humanity as a whole, because you go over and beyond your call of duty as legal eagles. Like, you are actually wonderful human beings who are really looking to make a difference and impact in the lives of others through your education and through your empowerment and your partnership with other vetted professionals who can help us navigate through the labyrinth of life. It's so confusing, it's scary, but here you are, holding our hands in the process. And thank you very, very much for your love and compassion, and for giving me this opportunity to share how I could also make a difference in the lives of other you know
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Well,
Furley. And
you
you have
do,
been
Ferlie.
a
You
wonderful, wonderful
absolutely do.
co-host. Amber, you have really big shoes to fill.
I
Once a
know.
week, the D word is going to be coming live to you with different guests. What we're looking to focus on in the next season is having professionals on 1 week and having clients, former clients, future clients, real people talking about their lives and what they're dealing with, similar to Ferlie, so that it all kind of makes sense for our viewership. We're going to give you the information and then hear it from people that are actually taking advantage of what we're trying to empower them to do. So we look forward to seeing everybody next week. The D word is back. Ferlie, wishing you so much love and health. And we look forward to seeing you at the next Divorce Dynasty photo shoot, hopefully.
Yes. By the way, time expands based on your availability, right? Based on what is available. Would you believe that I actually wrote a book on financial resilience during this catastrophe, and I'm launching a new book again on resilient living. Listen, we can make our mess our message, but when you partner with the right people, magic happens.
Absolutely. Thank you for partnering with us, Ferlie.
On that note, wishing everybody a beautiful weekend. Stay tuned for our next episode of the D word.